Good morning, trade pros. Welcome to morning market update and live trading session for Thursday, January 11th of 2018. First and foremost, the lighting still hasn't come in. Actually, the lighting has come in. It was a lighting kit that I purchased so it could be a little bit better lit because my other light failed a couple days ago. And I opened the box, said, hey, I'll give this guys a nice well-lit presentation this morning. And then I opened it. There was a million pieces that you had to assemble. So then I promptly packed it up and put it back in the closet. But for tomorrow, we'll be alive and rocking. All right, in today's morning market update, we're going to talk about a brief summary of where the markets are at. We're going to talk about crude oil, why Bitcoin has dropped so much overnight, and where I think it can continue to go down to, what the next support level is for a low buying opportunity. And we're going to get into a few more updates that came in overnight and some updates about the Canadian dollar and why it is weak, along with Mexican peso and the equities as well there. So let's start out and yeah, Jen, go ahead. Jen's just rolling up the blinds to give me a little bit more light. Jen's a good guy. All right, in Asia, Japan's down 0.3%, Hong Kong's up 0.1%, China's up 0.1%, and India's up 0.2 percentage points. So Asian markets are a little bit green to start the session. They've already closed, actually, but they're a little bit green as they close. In Europe at midday, London's 0.1% higher, Paris is flat, Frankfurt's up 0.2%. And in the United States, Dow Jones is up about the same 0.1, S&P's up 0.1, and NASDAQ's up 0.1% as well. So we're getting a little bit of a slowdown to these markets from what we experienced to end 2017 and the beginning of 2018. We're getting a little bit cooling off, and that's natural. That's expected. A lot of this equity market slowdown, the prime reason what caused it was the fact that bond yields went up above the 2.5% marker. A lot of institutional traders look for the 10-year yield, and they've said that if it goes to 2.5% above, they'll flip the selling equities. So a lot of that smart money is starting to make an exit from the markets, and that's what's putting some sell pressure on it. And there's fewer buyers because they're not willing to buy at all-time highs. Therefore, if there's fewer buyers and more sellers, naturally the price will start to go down and hit some sell stops from long positions from before. All right, so that's kind of how we're transitioning into this. Keep an eye out on that 10-year yield today. All right, gold prices today are down 0.1%. And I think in the gold price in the next 1 to 2 weeks, you've got to sell rallies. It looks like it's topped out a little bit and coming in for a pullback. It touched 1310, but I think the next way down is about 1295 to 1300 even. That could be another low risk opportunity to get long into the trend. All right, Bitcoin is down 10% overnight, and I'll explain why and what the reasons is. And then I'll tell you right now, first of all, where the support level is. I think at the level at the moment, 10,847 below is a really key support for Bitcoin. It needs to hold that level for numerous reasons. And then 9,000 even to about 10,000 in between that marker is a really big support as well for Bitcoin. If it drops below that, we're going to go into a larger scale pullback much lower. Okay, so keep an eye out on those levels. Here's why Bitcoin's having a little bit of a problem. In South Korea, overnight, they're making a push to ban cryptocurrency trading via the exchanges. That's going to take away a lot of the volume, and it's kind of scared a lot of the Bitcoin traders and investors, and they're starting to sell out. Why are they selling Bitcoin? Because they might have had a lot that's long. If you're long from before and you're noticing that the price isn't going up $60,000 per Bitcoin a second, you're noticing it's time to take some profit. You're saying, hey, it's slowing down. Maybe I'll cash out on some of my profits. Well, everyone flips to that psychology, and that's what you have on the downside. You have downside weakness. Been saying for a very long time, look out for Bitcoin because on the downside, it's increasing in volume. And that leads to a short to medium term trend of weakness. We're not saying Bitcoin's going to evaporate or fail. All we're saying is this pullback, watch out, they're still selling. This isn't the right time to get in front of it and buy. Just because it's cheaper, it doesn't mean there's value in the trade. Cheap does not equal value. All right, that's called anchoring. You're anchoring to a previous high. It's a psychological bias. Wait for the right moment, listen to our morning market updates, do your research, and there's going to be a low-risk buying opportunity. So South Korea's push to ban this cryptocurrency trading on exchanges is having some downside pressure as expected. A website in China called Binance or Bitnance is adding 240,000 new applications per hour for traders. So that's a lot. And remember, China is a massive market. They were the first adopters. China, Japan, the Asian countries were first adopters of cryptocurrencies. They started buying it before it came into the Western culture. So here's the interesting part. They published some statistics. That demographic is predominantly males 25 to 35. That's the age bracket, which is which is an age bracket who hasn't had as much exposure to trading maybe. And I'm not saying that because I fall within that age bracket, but just be careful because some of this money coming in doesn't necessarily mean it's smart money. And since these Bitcoin products became available on futures exchanges, we're actually noticing that the institutional money are accumulating big short positions slowly but surely. So that's a little bit to worry as well. Interesting stat. Morgan Stanley came out and they said that cryptocurrency mining will account for 0.6% of global electricity demand. So that's a significant drawdown on resources for the value that it creates. So that's kind of a stat I wanted to share with you, just a little bit of food for thought there. All right. And that's what kind of prompted this is an interesting statistic. Elon Musk and Tesla had an issue with this because what Bitcoin miners would do is they'd set up a mining rig in the trunk of their Teslas and park them at the charging station for free electricity. So these Bitcoin miners are starting to chase lower cost production and mining, but electricity will go up as demand increases. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword there. So keep an eye out on those things. Just think rationally about this and find a low opportunity, low cost, low risk, high probability opportunity to get long if you're going to try to buy these cryptos. All right, this morning we have initial jobless claims. We had the producer price index come out at 11:30 or 8:30 in the morning. It came out at minus 0.1% versus 0.2% expected. The core numbers came in at the same, at a minus 0.1. The PPI is a producer price index, and essentially it measures the prices of goods and services that are used for manufacturers. So people who produce stuff, they publish a result of the price for their services and products, and it's gone down. That's actually a disinflation. It's a reduction of inflation, and it goes with the trend of what we've seen to consumer inflation and the CPI basket. All right, so the Federal Reserve watches these numbers carefully, and I can tell you right now, they're still concerned about inflation being low and how that's going to factor into their monetary policy. All right, this morning at 10:30, we also have natural gas numbers. And then at 1 p.m., we have the result of a 12 billion 30-year note auction. Guys, remember this? China yesterday said that they are considering reducing their treasury purchases or outright halting them. China is the biggest buyer of United States debt. So if we lose that biggest buyer, along with Saudi Arabia, but China is one of the biggest. If we lose them, who's going to buy these treasuries? Well, guess who's selling treasuries right now? First of all, the United States government to collect money to finance their operations. Second of all, it's the Federal Reserve trying to unwind a balance sheet who's got some treasuries for sale. So this is a little bit of a problematic situation. It spooked markets, and I think that trend could continue today. Be careful being bullish. I'm not saying don't be bullish. We made our money yesterday to the upside despite having a bearish bias. Today we come in with a bearish bias, but we gotta keep a watch on the charts. Our bias means nothing to the market. The most important thing is what is the market telling you? That's what you take advantage of. All right. Here's an interesting stat. For those of you that are natural gas traders, the U.S. has now become a net exporter of natural gas. They used to import it. Now they're a net exporter. Official numbers come out today, but based on some preliminary reports, here I'll read it to you. Net exports average 0.4 billion cubic feet per day. So you've gone to the plus side. You're now exporting natural gas. All right, flipping from inflows of 1.8 billion in 2016. Watch out for that number today. Natural gas will definitely have a reaction depending on how these numbers come out. I can't tell you if this then that type of trade, but keep an eye out on natural gas and you'll know how it's being priced in based on price action. All right. Last but not least, actually not last, two more things to talk about. The German economy overnight expanded at the fastest pace in 6 years in 2017. All right. GDP rose 2.2%. And it's the 8th year in a row that the economy has grown. So there's a little bit of sentiment or a risk-on sentiment from European traders that ended up buying into this thing. So watch out for DAX. I think into today's European close at 11:30 in the morning, DAX might pull back as these long traders start selling off to capitalize on that news report. So if you traded the news in Germany overnight, or if you're a European trader, you might still have a long position. And at the end of the day in Europe, which is 11:30 Eastern time, you might start to unwind that position. So I think there's going to be a little bit of selling bias into the close into European equities today. Cautious on that note. Last but not least, there's a little bit of concern this morning circulating around trading desks around NAFTA and the United States' effort to renegotiate it. Investors and traders are starting to get really concerned that Donald Trump might actually pull out of this NAFTA agreement, which will have massive implications for just about everyone, including the U.S. on that news, the Canadian dollar, the Mexican peso, and Mexican equities are dropping this morning. So if you're wondering why is the Canadian dollar getting weaker against the US, that's the reason for it. So if you're currency trading this morning, look for some weakness in cross markets and look for a long opportunity against those cross market weaknesses with the US dollar. So buy the US, sell anything else. Sell euro, for example. You could sell the Mexican peso, buy the US dollar against it. There's a lot of trade opportunities. This momentum will continue. All right. And I think the dollar is due for a little bit of a pop. Despite it being down today, I don't think it takes out that low. So trade cautiously out there today. We have a mix of things going on, a lot of different data coming in, and it could get a little bit choppier today. So keep that stop tight. Always have a stop loss, obviously. Use a protective stop in every position you take and manage your risk. Remember, it's not about being right in this business. You don't want to be right. Being right has no monetary value. It's not a currency. It's about being profitable. Ditch your bias and trade what you see. You'll do much better as a trader. You guys have yourselves a great day. See you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for another session of the Morning Market Update. And I'm sitting today, so I get to do my patented chair spin. Ready? 3, 2, 1. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Adios. Oh, I got to spin the other way. Got to spin the other way.